Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. It's good to see you here. This is an interview with the GTeX Great Award winner of 2022, Caroline Sylvia Wragg. If just to give you a short introduction about Caroline, which you can see here, she's one of the most incredible, awesome human beings. She's a pillar of GTeX, a genius in marketing. In fact, she runs a program called the Reva program, where she helps other entrepreneurs to get their marketings in order and get it sorted out. She's also the marketing coach for GTeX, partnership manager. I mean, you do so many things in GTeX, Caroline, which I don't know what GTeX would be without you, to be honest. Having said that, welcome, Caroline Sylvia Wragg. Good to see you.
Thank you. It's just awesome to be here with you, Simone. And thank you so much. What an amazing introduction. You always make my heart melt when I things like that.
It's, it's well deserved. I mean, and this we're going to do this interview to really talk about your process of recovery. You won the Grit Award because 2022 was a very tough year, particularly last year, and you were able to bounce back like very few people. Like a lot of people that would go through what you went through, they will probably give up, but you didn't. And so there is a lot that people can learn from you, from your attitude, and that's what we want to explore. So let's start from what happened
Oh,
in 2022. Where was the beginning of all the drama? and,
oh
and the,
my God. When I was in that hospital, it was very, very surreal and also very scary. And I know when you're running a business, it can be scary as well. It can be really difficult and scary at times. But the most scary thoughts that kept coming to me was, how am I going to serve my clients? How am I going to continue to serve my clients? I thought I'd lost everything. I thought I'd lost my intelligence, which is just crazy.
Hmm.
Because all sorts of weird things come into your head during that
For
time.
context, what happened? What did you get recovered for? Because we haven't mentioned that yet.
Well, from COVID, I had the dreaded COVID pneumonia. That some people I know poo-pooed and said it's just a cold, it's just this, it's just that. But believe me, you know, nobody knows why it affects certain people. And unfortunately, it hit me really badly, and I nearly lost my life. And in that moment, you have lots of thoughts from a peaceful moment to, oh my God, I'm in a lot of pain, I need to go through this recovery process, but you're totally out of control because you're in the hands of the nurses and the doctors and the amazing staff that looked after me. And not to mention my amazing husband who looked after me during that time, because we're very much a team at home as well. And I think that's important to have family support. But you know over Christmas time, I don't recommend Christmas dinner in hospital. That's the last thing I would recommend. However, I think what kept me going, what was the pivotal thing that got me going, was writing my poetry.
Hmm.
And I've written a lot of poetry in the past. I still must get them all published, but that's on my to-do list. And having thought that I'd lost my intelligence, I'd lost my creativity, I'd lost my ability to serve my
Hmm.
clients. Actually, I hadn't, because my creativity actually heightened and doubled and tripled,
Hmm.
because the way I was able to hone in on the experience through expressed through my poetry, I surprised myself. Even I'm reading back at some of them, thinking, "Oh my God, how did I write that?" But when you're in the moment, I'm sure everybody has got a way of expressing themselves. Whether it's a sport, whether it's writing a book, whether it's talking to somebody, whatever your hobby is, I suppose,
Yeah.
that makes you feel good. writing makes me feel good, but it's done in a very quirky way because I am quite a quirky person. And I like to think I'm different. I've always thought I felt very different from when I was a little girl. And yeah, like it or not, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. But writing my poetry has been just about a way of expressing. And some of them, I will admit, are quite dark. So the ones post COVID were quite dark. Some of them were actually sort of businessy, and I have written a lot of business style. I've
Hmm.
written a lot for clients. I've written a lot for people wanting when they go to networking groups, and what do they say? How do they say it? How do they express it? So I've actually put that into a poem for them, which sort of rhymes. Most of my stuff rhymes. I don't know why it rhymes.
Yeah.
Um, but I did write a poem called Flat, and I remember reading that at a GTeX event last year, because it was based around social media, and it was based around, don't be flat. But we haven't got time for me to read it today. But if anybody's interested, I'm happy to share that with them because it is quite a long poem,
Yeah.
but it is quite fascinating. But there was a lot of recovery poems. There's a lot related to, I'd say, divine intervention, spiritual happenings that happen, thoughts that happen. So a lot of angel numbers, warning signs before I got ill with the COVID and after. So what that's telling me, I don't know. Maybe we should look at the signs a bit more around us, to take notice of what's actually happening. So
What's interesting, what's fascinating here, is that it looks like that for you, the process of poetry was a process of was a healing process while you were going through this dark time. Is
absolutely.
almost what kept you sane, because I know for about like 6 months, you could barely do anything, struggle breathing. Like it was we're not talking about a couple of weeks. It was a large part of the year. And in those moments, we need something that it can get our mind off, that can get our mind off, because otherwise the very things becomes worse, because all we are doing then is thinking about our illness. So you found your own way
Mm,
to use poetry
mm,
to support the healing from this moment. And I would love to extend also this lesson to everyone else.
mm.
Now, if you're going through a tough time in business or in life, or there is a lot of things going on, what is that is yours, that you cherish, that is something that you're passionate about? In your case, is poetry. In my case, was when I had a very dark time, is basketball. What is that is a way for of self-expression, something that can help you take your mind off where you are and actually make you happier. And I think we all have those things. So my invitation to everyone here is to think, if you're having a rough time, what is that thing for you? Because it becomes sacred at that point. It's almost like something sacred that you do for yourself and for your recovery as well.
That was really important because I didn't realize it was the poetry that saved me until afterwards. And I look back, I thought, oh my goodness, yeah, uh, that must be why
Yeah.
it helped me. But what I started doing, even when I was in the hospital, on my phone in the notes section, because that's when I get, normally when I get inspiration outside of illness, I just see a treetop, I see a road, I see something, I'm on a train, I'll just see something and then ping that I have to write immediately. But I started making a diary of air. And it's interesting how you said about my breathing. Yeah, I've had massive problems with my breathing, and I still have some problems with my breathing. I have some equipment I have to use every day now. But I'm determined to get over that at some point. But my diary of air was almost like me trying to decipher the step by step of what actually happened. And I was craving fresh air and oxygen, and connect that with you and your business and how you are. We all need that oxygen to enable us to continue to move forwards, to breathe. And thinking about what is the most important element, you know, what is really important to you. It's the breath that you breathe until the day you stop breathing that breath. And,
I'm breathing now.
you know, breathing is
Mm,
just, you know, we take it for granted. We take
yeah.
it for granted. But in that moment, it was, I would just crave some beautiful, fresh mountain air or some gorgeous, you know, sea breezes and air. And I was absolutely craving that. And I wrote this diary of air part 1 and part 2. That hasn't been published anywhere. It's still very in raw format. And then from there, I wrote a post-COVID poem, and then I wrote my angel one, then I wrote the Take the Courage and Shine, and then I wrote um Flat, the poem about flat, and then several more. But not all my poetry is dark. Some of it, you know, some of it is funny. I've got some quite sensual ones that I've written. There's some that are for children. Obviously, when I publish them, I won't publish the sensual ones next to the children's ones.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have to be careful with that. And then there's some that are very deep, very spiritual, very moving, and then of course a lot of business ones and
Mm.
business ones for
It
clients
feels
and
to
things.
me, it feels to me that that literally poetry saved your life at this point.
That was,
That's what I'm hearing.
yeah, it was, and that creativity sort of motivated me to think, you know, maybe I can serve my clients again. And I know you touched on my Rev Up program and Rev
Mhm.
Up Your Business and Marketing. When it was first launched in 2016 as a one-to-one program, it was actually called Rev Up Your Health and Business.
Mm.
And it's very interesting because obviously I wanted to, you know, when you're promoting things, you need to have the right connotations, the right titles to resonate with the actual business owners and the companies that need your marketing and business services, which is what I do. But my Rev Up program is a 4 months program, and it includes me delivering. It's not pre-recorded. I will be
Mhm.
looking at a light version at some stage, but they get one-to-one sessions, which is valuable. But at the end, I was offered a Rev Up Live. So like
Mm.
a live event where the group could pitch and present and share and, you know, we have a bit of fun. We have
Yeah.
music, a bit of fun. While I was sitting there thinking, what can I do? Because the last group that should have had their live was when I actually got ill. So we had to cancel that, unfortunately. And I
Mhm.
was really gutted about that. I was really horrified because I was horrified about letting them down and what do I do? But then I thought, do you know what? There's a lot of other people that don't know about RevUp. There's a lot of other people that need my help and support and experience. So why don't I just open it up? Why don't I just make it a bigger event and open it up to other businesses to come? So as part of my comeback launch, and I
Mhm.
know there's something that happened before that because when we
Yeah.
did something together, Simone, but I decided to invite everybody and actually a physical event in person, and we got 27 people in the room.
Mhm.
And it was a fun event. It was great. We had some amazing testimonials, and I managed to fill my next group from that event.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, I'll do another one. And then this March, we did another one, similar numbers, 30 people. And it's now become an independent event on its own in its own right. So
Mm.
next year, watch this space because Rev Up Live is going to be at a bigger venue. It's going to be it'll be a higher ticket price, but it'll be worth it. And it's going to have speakers, people who've done the group. So if you've worked with me, you'll actually be able to pitch and present your business. So you'll get access to that and share that with the audience. And we'll be collaborating on that. And you know, it's going to be something that you know you'll have fun and grow your business too, and meet lots of other amazing people. So
Yeah.
watch the space, be about March time next year, but we'll talk about that then. But all of that was prompted through my thought process while I was sitting there in my recovery time.
And that's interesting because you were able to turn like your comeback, like you could made a big deal, like you say, okay, I'm back, let's do the event. And I think there is a, talking about marketing, there is a marketing lesson. um, First of all, a mindset lesson: you didn't allow that time to dictate your future. You went through it. It was hard, I know, because we had many conversations,
Yeah,
but at the same time you say, okay, no, now I've got the strength. And you were keep trying. I remember you keep talking about my clients, I want to be able to serve again. And this is I think another nuance for people that are going through a tough time. uh is not about, if you're going through a tough time, isn't, you can get out of it by not making it about you. The more you focus on others, then the more you will find that energy and that extra life to that is gonna pull you forward, because now you're not doing it anymore for yourself, but you're doing it for others as well.
absolutely.
I'm curious to know now, in this process, how did GTeX play a part during that time and after that time for you?
Well, GTeX has always been extremely important to me. As you know, Simone, since the early days of connecting with GTeX and, feeling very much part of an amazing business family of support to, you know, skyrocketing my business through the GTeX programs and then becoming part of the team and, becoming part of the GTeX team has just been a real honor. And I do believe that it has actually helped me in my personal development as well as my business development, even more to be able to offer more quality and more support to my clients. So I'm very, very grateful to GTeX. And I absolutely love the collaboration that we have. And I think, when you're growing it and you're growing a business, collaboration and building relationships is at the core of any business growth or any potential. And what I loved, and you were so, connecting and communicating and even sending messages, and keeping in touch and asking how I was, how I'm recovering. And, you
Mm.
know, that meant so much. That meant so much to me. Whereas some people would be probably scared to connect and say, "Oh, I'll leave them alone, let them get better, leave them alone, let them get sorted, and then they'll come back." But I actually believe in, it's all right to send a message. It's all right to stay in touch.
Mhm.
Even if people tell you to go away, if they don't want that, I think it's important to stay in touch. And I don't believe in, I know people say, "Oh, the telephone works both ways," but I always believe that if you don't make that first move, then they may not make that first move. So I suppose that's the leader in me wanting to say, right, if you're not going to make that first move, I will make that first move. I will make that connection. And it doesn't matter if you've thought about it but was a little bit scared to make that connection. And you did that, Simone. You did that, and the whole the GTeX team. Even Ben and Rosie and other people in the team. They sent me lovely gifts and just beautiful recovery messages, and it was just so heartwarming. And I cried when I saw those, and it was just so wonderful to see that. And you know people don't realize how much of an impact a company like GTeX, or GTeX actually does. There's no other company like GTeX, I will say that. And it is the most special, um, ethical, heartfelt company that, you know, but we get stuff done. You get stuff done. And I love the activity, the movement, the speed, the action. But you've also got the human side, the caring side, making sure that the people that have supported you in the business are treasured. So I felt like a treasure to
and
GTeX.
and you and you were and you are, and you absolutely are, and that's what community for me really is. I think there was a Fluffy, our fairy godmother, that she said something about GTeX that I think is the representation of what the GTeX community is, which is, um, GTeX is that place where you go, where you can go at midnight, where you had a rough night, and you can knock on someone's door in your pajama, and you know they're gonna open the door. And we want to show up in that way, because when everything is going good and great, it's easy to celebrate. But the
Absolutely.
strength of a community and the strength of relationship and the importance of someone is actually more felt throughout the tough times. That's when you really see who is around you, and who cares about you, or is around you just because they want to be part of the good ride, but they don't want anything good that comes with human life. So thank you, thank you for sharing. And I have to say, if someone wants, there is a link here, where you can check out our programs, in particular the Ultimate Expert program at the gtexmethod.com. You want to understand and find out more about the brilliance of this community, all the information are on that page, and you'll probably end up talking to Caroline actually, uh, about it.
I will say it was absolutely awesome to come back and come to a GTeX live event last year as well. A
Yeah,
3-day event, the Offer Launch Accelerator that you run. I was craving getting back into contact with people, and just being there and doing that. And you know what? It absolutely motivates you and drives you forward, saying, right, I'm going to reshape my business. I'm going to move forward. This is what I'm going to work on. And even if you've done stuff before, that event was just incredible. And I know you run these events online as well several times
yeah,
through the year. And what I will also say about GTeX, because you know how they've really helped elevate me, and my business, and the contacts and connections that I've been able to pass through to GTeX, is that you know they're always offering different courses, but we've opened up to international
mm,
connections as well. And I find that is just absolutely brilliant, that we can, you know, communicate and support people anywhere in the world, wherever they are. And you know, it's opened up the heart of GTeX even further. So we're worldwide.
yeah. And it adds a lot of it adds a great different dynamic as well to
Mm,
the community. So everyone, gtexmethod.com. You want to understand how can you be part of the Ultimate Expert program, then check out the link. All the information are there. I have a couple more questions for you before we wrap up, Caroline. One, the first one is, um, what piece of advice would you give to someone who is right now going through a tough time, thinking about how you came out on the other side and how you were able to go through this tough time of your life? Someone is going through a tough time right now. What piece of advice would you give them?
I think it depends on what they're going through and how they're feeling and what stage of, you know, recovery they're going through or where they're at. But I would just say, you know, don't focus too much on the actual illness. Don't focus on the negatives if you can on what you're going through, no matter how tough it is. Um, I was thinking there's always somebody in a worse position than me, although I was pretty in a bad way. I didn't realize until afterwards. But if you think about the things that you really want to do, think about the things that you haven't done yet. Think about, you know, what makes your heart sing, what makes you feel happy, and what that's going to look like. And you know, by all means, if you need help, if it's, you know, a mental health issue, if it's you know, an inclusion issue, if it's a health issue, whatever that is, please speak to people, please speak to somebody. Don't keep it wrapped up, don't keep it inside. um Expression is the best. My expression was my poetry. I'd
Mm.
love to hear what yours is. What is your expression? Where can you express yourself? Even if, you know, if it's swimming, if it's doing something, you know, different that you love to do, what is that? And that will help you. We're looking for that light, for that glimmer of hope, even if you're in very dark times. Just think about that glimmer of hope. What is that light? What is your star? and work on that. And if anybody wants a chat, I'm here. I'm happy to share and help, because that there is another way. And I'm not saying it's easy, and it's not easy, because I've got challenges that I'm still dealing with, health wise, but I'm dealing with them. And it's life's not perfect, but there are people here that will listen and help you. So
Mm.
look at your star.
Look at your star. Such a great piece of advice. I having that light that you can hang on to and say, you know what, I'm not done here. I got way more in me, and so let's go through this recovery process. If it's long, is long. If it's boring, is boring. But you're going to do what you gotta do, so that you can get to that light. Caroline, it has been a great interview. I know there might be people that want to connect with you, and tell us a bit more about the Facebook group that you have. How can people reach out to you? And I'll put the link in the meanwhile here in that appears on the screen. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a marketing strategist. I train people, I coach people in marketing and sales. I've been doing this for 35 years. My background's in international marketing, sales and comms with some of the big operators in logistics and freight forwarding. I have a wide range of experience and knowledge. I've been running my own business for 13 years. And, I have a group called Nuts About Marketing, Jelly About Sales. Um, it's going to be more active. If you want to promote your stuff in there, you can, but you need to be interactive. But please do check it out. Come and join. We'd love to see you in there. Any questions you have. What I mean by nuts about marketing, you may be crazy about marketing. You may be an expert in marketing as well. We're all different. I'm a very holistic marketeer, and there's a story behind that. But I would love to welcome you into the group. If you're just absolutely crazy about it and you really don't know where to start, what to do, we've got help and support there too. And you may be scary or jelly about sales. In other words, you quiver and fear when you hear the word sales. Then, please don't worry. There's a safe space there for you to come and share and ask opinions, ask advice. And equally, if you're a sales expert, professional in sales, we would love you to be part of that as well. It's a very neutral group. We love helping people to promote events, promote things. But when you do that, please make sure that you do connect with people in the group and it's not just advertising. Otherwise, I won't accept that. But
Otherwise, she'll kick you out. Otherwise, she'll kick you out.
fair.
Uh, all right. So, Nuts About Marketing, Jelly About Sales. If you're watching this on YouTube, the link is in the description. If you're watching this if you're listening on the podcast, the link is on the show notes. So, Nuts About Marketing, Jelly About Sales. That's a Facebook group. Caroline, it has been a great interview. I want to thank you for taking the time. First of all, to do this interview was very valuable, particularly for someone who's having a tough time. You need to hear those messages. You need to hear those messages. The more positive messages and encouragement you get, the easier it is to get to that light and hang on to that hope that things are going to be better. And most of the time, actually, they turn better. So keep going. Don't give up. For everyone who's having a tough time, if you're listening to this, and maybe is your call to try some poetry. Who knows? Maybe poetry is going to save your life too. I
Amazing.
also want to thank you, Caroline, for all the work that you're doing with GTeX, for being such a pillar of our community and of our team. As I mentioned, GTeX will not be what it is without you. So this is an acknowledgement for all the conversation that we have, all the work that you're putting into GTeX, all the love, all the care that you're putting in the clients and in the work that you do. So thank you for it.
You're very, very welcome. And it's been a pleasure to have this meeting with you, have this interview with you. And, if anybody needs any help or support, if it's marketing, sales, GTeX services, please do reach out and, we can help you, whatever stage of business you're at. So you could be a startup, you could be a very experienced influencer. It doesn't matter. And if you're thinking of partnering with GTeX, if you really want to do some partnership work, then let's have a conversation, because there's some very good lucrative business opportunities for you there. So yeah, I'm honoured to be part of the GTeX team and winning the Grit Award. I was like, I didn't expect anything. I didn't expect anything last
Mm.
year, but it was just such a lovely touch to acknowledge what I've been through, because you don't acknowledge yourself normally.
100%. 100%. Well, thank you, Caroline, and everyone who is listening or watching. Thank you for listening or watching. If you have not subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time. And always remember that together we grow exponentially. Ciao.